All right, we're excited to get into SEC play, and these are the not that the non-conference games aren't huge. These are the big games, so you get 8 conference games a year, and that's to me what you're judged on at the end of the year, how you finish within your conference. So this is going to be a big deal for us. Getting into this game, obviously a great challenge. I mean, every year since I've been here, we've started with Auburn as your first conference game. I think that first game really can give you a huge boost. Can be a big knock too for you. I mean, how it comes out. I don't think it defines the entire season for you, but I think it certainly can give you a huge boost and push you on your way to having a great conference schedule and a great year. And so a huge challenge. Obviously, it's a tough place to play. A tough place to go on the road to. And but I think our guys are going to be ready to go. Should have everybody back healthy, the exception of the guys that are out for the year. And the only other guy, the guy that's questionable still for this weekend would be Bohanna. So, but everybody else, talking with our trainers today, they expect to be ready to go by game time.
About Tyler, did he pass his concussion test? Does he have
He hasn't
practice
taken
all week?
it yet.
Oh, okay, so you're still waiting on that?
Yeah,
so,
but they expect him. He worked out yesterday. They did some things with him yesterday, and we expect him to be by the. I expect him practicing doing some things today, and we're going to kind of build him back into it. He doesn't. The thing that he didn't get any contact to practice, and no one's allowed near him anyway at practice. So you can put the red jersey on him and say, okay, nobody touch him. But he already has that. I think we have the green one. He has the green one on already, so nobody gets near him anyway.
Is he the kind of guy that if he's cleared Friday afternoon, you're like, all right, you're going to play, or does it become more of a question if it lingers on through the week?
Well, I mean, we're always very concerned with player safety. So, I mean, to me, it's all going to be safety related. I think, with him and talking to him and where our trainers are, the fact that he's able to work out and do stuff, I mean, he's able to go out and throw it today at practice and do all those things. I think he'll be ready to play the game if he's cleared for contact come the end of the week.
Coach, well, Darius back, and you already established a lot of other good running backs that run. You like the running back by committee theory? And
yeah, you love to roll guys through and keep guys fresh. Depending, obviously, game dictates it, how many reps, how many plays you get. And then injuries and health can always dictate it. You look like, okay, Perkins comes back, and now we have some good depth at running back, and we felt that on the offensive line till the guy goes down for the season, and then the depth gets a little bit more shaky. So, but having those guys, having that depth, and I think having those guys ready to go, you feel comfortable with the depth you have at that position for this game.
Coach, just talk about your team stepping up in Tyler's absence and just how you think Dak played, and if he had to play, if he had to start Saturday, how confident you are with that? I
think I'm very confident with Dak, and our team's very confident with Dak. And I think a lot of that is just the leadership, role that he has. As I said, one thing I always try to do is you don't prepare a starting quarterback and a backup quarterback. You prepare starting quarterbacks, and so Dak prepares to be the starter. We prepare for Dak to be the starter. We have since last year. This time last year we were doing the same thing. Because that's one thing you don't want. You don't want the team sitting there and not having confidence as a guy steps on the field and comes into a game, and you're one play away from that happening. So I think Dak really took on that approach and really did a good job preparing himself as a starting quarterback. And I think within his leadership and the way that he does things, the team kind of feels the same way that, hey, he's ready to be a starting quarterback, so it's not a big deal for us.
Dan, in your opinion, is Auburn maybe the toughest scout in the league, just with the amount of transition they've had and staff, and you just never get a quote-unquote traditional look out of them on either side of the ball?
Yeah, I haven't since I've been here, I don't think. Every year it's been something new with them, like where it's and now I think this year we have 2 games on them. Usually it's only been 1 game on them, and with a lot of new staffs or kind of turnovers from year to year to get that look. So it certainly does make it difficult. You're looking at a whole new offensive staff. And, one of the hard things you can look and say, okay, well, we can look at Arkansas State from last year, Auburn from 3 or 4 years ago on offense, and you can look at Southern Miss last year and South Carolina from 3 or 4 years ago, but that's not this year's team for them. You know, I mean, that's what always makes it harder. You want to look at this year's team because what are they doing with their players? I mean, they're very good coaches over there, and they're going to make sure they're putting within their system, put their players in a position to make plays, and you just don't have a lot of looks at what they are and what they want to be and what their personality as a team is.
With what you've seen, though, or on offense, have they kind of are they clicking with what they used to do maybe a couple years ago when they had Gus back?
Yeah, they're very talented. I mean, they got a lot of talent. They got a lot of playmakers. They got 3 big-time running backs, that all can make big plays in the open field. They have dynamic wide receivers that can, beat you before and after the catch for big plays. And, and they have a quarterback that, has hit a lot of big throws down the field to keep you honest, but he can, improvise on his own. And if you don't account for him, he's going to hurt you, and I mean, and account for him means, I mean, you got to account for him not just in the run game, but then, he gets even more dangerous when you get into the pass game and you're trying to cover all those wideouts and running backs out in the open field, and if he gets a seam, that's where he becomes really dangerous running the ball.
I know you like to use these non-conference games to kind of get a feel for your team and where it's at going into the SEC, but because of that Alcorn game, you had to sit out so many starters and do so many different things. Do you think you have a good feel on the team right now, or how do you feel you are going into the SEC season?
Yeah, we're getting there. I think we've had 2 totally different style of games in our first 2 games. So, we got to see how this one plays out. I mean, game one made some errors, some first game mistakes, even though I thought we played really well, and then had to overcome a lot of different injuries during the course of the game. Game 2, we had injuries, but we had a lot of success. There weren't a lot of speed bumps for us on Saturday, and so I think it'll be a good test. I think the team is still kind of developing its personality of what is this year's team, their personality, and and the guys that are playing. Right now we've been playing a lot of players and a lot of new faces. So those guys are just kind of still also learning how they roll, how they fit into the team in the long term of the season.
Dan, obviously Week 1 wasn't a true road game, but how much does the pregame, traveling and stuff, help a lot of those young freshmen that you're talking about?
Well, it certainly will. The experience of Friday, of having to get here early on Friday and travel, go stay at a hotel. But I mean, for a lot of our guys, it was this past Saturday, a home game was a new experience for them too, because a lot of them haven't stayed at the hotel on Friday night. A lot of them haven't been through the dog walk or been expected to play or come and warm up. They've been with a jersey on the sideline, waving their towel and all that stuff, and now here they are carrying the ball, and all of those are new experiences. So that we've kind of had the 2 new experiences. Obviously, I think the atmosphere, the hostility in the atmosphere is going to be a little bit different than it was in Game 1, which kind of had the bowl game feeling to it, where it's it's kind of a 50-50 crowd. This one you're going in on the road into a hostile environment.
You talked yesterday about when freshmen are ready to play, you'll play them. And you also mentioned, too, it was kind of a need. Was just a mix of it this year? Was how many? I think
there's always
6
that.
freshmen.
One, I mean, they have to be ready to play. I won't play them unless they're ready. That's priority number 1. Then need also has an effect, where I don't want to put it, need is not the first one, need's the second one. So when they're ready to play and there's a need, we're going to try to go make sure we play them at that point and not just play somebody just for the sake of playing them or just because, hey, they're ready to play. I want to make sure they're going to get quality reps throughout the year, and we might not be done yet playing guys. You look, guys like an Artemis Samuel, who I think he was ready to get in the game, but with Rufus Warren back healthy now, I don't know that the need that I don't know how many reps he's going to get, that would warrant playing and burning his redshirt year at this point.
On that note, you said Saturday that Ashton had a few things to work on out there, but kind of assess what you've seen in film and what he did right, what he did wrong, and what kind of role does he play this weekend?
Well, I mean, as he keeps improving, he's a physical runner. and gets tough yardage for us, and that's the one thing you like about him is big, powerful back. And I thought he did that. He's got to learn to run lower, get his pads lower. I mean, I think you could, you'd see that from run to run. He'd lower his pads and knock people backwards. The next play, he wouldn't get yards after contact. He's up running high. Those are all the little things that he has to learn, and obviously get into this game protections and all of those things. I mean, his, making sure not just he knows his assignment. I know he knows his assignment in protections, but in dealing with the speed and pass protecting the people we're going to have to pass protect this weekend are things he's going to continually have to work on.
I know through a lot of the offensive line injuries the last couple of years, Gabe and Dylan have really been the two that have been consistent and knock on wood, I should say, but been really good on the field. They're fun to watch off the field, too. They seem like jokesters. Do people naturally gravitate toward them as leaders? How are they in the locker room?
Yeah, I think people like them on the team. I think that's a huge deal that for them. I don't know that. They're neither of them are the biggest, rah-rah leaders or, in-your-face leaders. But I think they both work hard. They have a great work ethic. They enjoy playing the game. They have fun out there at practice. And I think just their personalities that people like them allow them to be leaders and lead probably more by example in their work ethics that they can, that's showing that you can have a lot of fun while you're working hard and doing what you're doing. And I think that's important for a lot of young kids to realize that, they should be having fun. I mean, this is, their happiest part of the day. Most of our guys, when they walk in the door here, not that they don't love going to school, but they love walking in the door here to come do some football. That should be the fun part of the day for them. And I think those guys kind of set that standard.
Dan, Chris Jones joked Saturday that he's a partial defensive tackle and a full D-end. How has his transition what have you seen from his transition so far into that new role for him?
Well, that's good. A lot of the teams, his role, we've got to look at, where he's going to play for us this week. A lot of that's dictated by the teams that we're playing, and as he says, because he's athletic enough to play D-end for us. But when you're playing a lot of the hurry-up spread teams, he gives you an athlete inside, for the teams that are trying to spread you out all over the field to put another really good athlete on the field. So I think, that was kind of our thought of moving him inside for the first two games. This is a type of team, I know with all the tempo, but they're a little bit more of a power running team than the last two teams that we faced that are a little bit more spread pass oriented. So, he could get some more reps moving back out to DN this week, and to face that power running scheme.
I know you like to develop some consistency early season, but with guys like Ladarius and P.J. Jones who've played, can it be kind of a long-term benefit maybe that they took a weekend off?
I guess the benefit is we won the game, and they didn't get anything but healthier over the weekend. I think that's the big advantage you can have. That those are guys that, like you said, have played. They don't need all the reps all the time. I get nervous when guys aren't playing because we want to make sure we get our best guys on the field to put us in a position to win. But the fact that we're able to get out of the last game, win the game, be successful in doing it, and I think execute it at a really good level, and have some guys that were banged up be able to rest. I do think that can be a benefit for us.
Two games into this season now, what have you learned about your team this year that maybe you didn't know or didn't expect before the season started?
Well, I think that we have a team that can be molded in a lot of different ways, and I think that you see with the youth of our guys, I think we have guys that want to play hard, they want to work hard, they want to do the right thing, but a lot of guys that are looking for leaders. A lot of guys that saying, "Hey, coach, I'm going to go hard, but how do I handle this situation?" Which is a good thing. And I mean, we have to be great leaders within our coaching staff. We have to set a very high standard and a bar of what we expect out of them on a daily basis. I think, a lot of times as a coach, and it's one of the great challenges from year to year, that you can just say, okay, this worked. Let's just do the same thing we did last year. This whole team's a brand new personality, so you always have to be adapting to your team, and as a coach, what's your leadership role? What standard are you? Are you not our standard changes, but how do we act after a win? How do we act after a loss? There's a lot of guys that don't even know how to do that, and so I think that's the biggest thing with this team is they're still really learning about themselves. And what do we had on offense and defense last game? We had only 5 seniors even dress out, so. With that situation, there's a lot of guys that are looking, and some of the younger guys are stepping into leadership roles that haven't been in that before and have to show all these young players how to do things the right way.
First SEC test coming up. I know every week is a little bit different as far as preparation, but what are you doing maybe different this week to prepare your guys, especially some of the younger guys, for that first conference game?
Fortunately, you're a couple games in, so they're into their game week routine, and they all know, being an SEC game, that it's a much bigger. I hate to say it's bigger because every game's big. It's hard to win every game, but I think that urgency, that sense of importance of being a conference game, how big those are, that sinks in. But our routine stays the same.
Dan, I know you'd rather have him on the field, but I noticed Tyler had a headset on Saturday in the Alcorn game. I mean, did he, in your opinion, did he get something out of that? Is that a perspective that he can maybe kind of translate to the field a little bit?
Yeah, it was a nice day. I'm sure he got a little suntan out of it, but he was hot. No, I think you always can. A guy like Tyler, I mean, he's sitting back, listening, watching. I mean, it's a different perspective and a different view of the different reads on the field that I think you see. And you get the chance to see how plays are unfolding without guys trying to come and hit you. I mean, it's much easier to make reads standing on the sideline when no one's coming to hit you and you don't have to get rid of the ball. You can really look out there and absorb everything that's going on. And so you can get that benefit out of it. I don't think we didn't get real complex within the offense. I don't know how many, real big things that he saw. We were pretty basic, I think, during the course of the game. But I think he did get the opportunity to just have a different perspective of the reads that he hasn't gotten in the last 2 years.
Just looking over the beginning part of the season, conference-wide, Clemson beat Georgia, Miami beat Florida, Oklahoma State's obviously tough. Do you think the SEC is still the SEC, or what do you think about the conference going into play so far?
Yeah, I would say so. I think from top, the thing about this league, from top to bottom, is what the big difference in this league is. Because I think, to me in this league, for Georgia, for example, they play Clemson and they come back and play South Carolina. I didn't look who Clemson had to come back and play this week, but a little different. That's what makes the SEC the SEC. You got to be ready to go week in and week out. And for a lot of people, there's I think a lot in this league, you look, there's a lot of, hey, this is this team's big game for this year. I don't know, I got to see on Saturday night, they're showing up, hey, this is the rest of their schedule, and their next test is going to be so many weeks, or they have 2 big tests left on their schedule. In the SEC, you end up with about 8 tests a year, because every single game, you got to be on your A game, or you can get beat. And I think that's what just does make the league so tough.
You've only got 1 sack in the first 2 games, but your quarterback numbers are up. Are you pleased with the pressure you're getting on quarterback?
At times. I think I always want it to be better, but I do think we've done a good job, and I expect it to continue to get better as the season goes on, of guys getting there and causing issues. I think we had a bunch of tackles for loss last game, so we have guys getting and causing penetration and creating the mayhem that we want on defense, and creating pressure's a big part of that. And, I think some of it also, if you look at the teams, have really tried to run the ball on us. I mean, that's where Oklahoma State had a lot of success for trying to run it on us. In the last game, they tried to run and get rid of it quick, so we didn't get a lot of the opportunities to get pressures on the quarterback. Thank you.